Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Countercultural Encounters. Today, we're having a really amazing conversation, one that's really dear to my heart, because I know that I will benefit from this conversation. I feel like I'm going to learn a lot of new things, and I think that many people like me will learn a lot of new things too. I understand that culturally and in many contexts, we talk about comfort zones as a danger zone. And there's a conversation that I feel like maybe we don't have enough, which we're going to talk about today, which is about hostility and how to engage hostility. Hostile environments oftentimes are marketed as environments that engage or encourage resilience and perseverance. But sometimes hostile environments are exactly that. They're hostile and make growth impossible. They also take out the comfort element that brings balance to tensions and ensure that there is no advancement. And so today we're going to be talking about what to do with hostility in terms of the kinds of boundaries and pushbacks you can put in place for your comfort so that you can grow from a healthy place.
Now that we are speaking about hostility and comfort, what would a hostile environment look like in real life?
A hostile environment is simply an environment where no matter how much effort you make, there is no successful outcome.
Oh, wow.
Because of the gatekeeping nature of that environment. What that looks like is that every time you make efforts in a certain direction, there's a very strong sense of resistance to pull you back and discourage you from making that advancement and ensuring that that outcome is not accomplished. So, for example, that looks like an environment that says you cannot try new things.
Okay.
And so everyone, or maybe the one person, keeps doing the same thing the same way over and over again because they're not allowed to try doing it differently. And so there is no advancement, there is no growth, there is no new outcome because that environment is hostile to change that allows for breakthrough and advancement.
And so because there's no result, you start to wonder if something is wrong with you and you isolate the environment from the problem as if the environment is not a contributor to your problems.
Because the environment most times doesn't appear as hostile.
Ooh.
Or the hostility is reimagined and reinterpreted as safety or as love. It's like Stockholm Syndrome. The way you fall in love with your abuser and you stay there because you have reinterpreted abuse to be love. And so, for example, someone keeps you locked up in a house and you say, oh, they just want you to be safe. So the part of your mind that believes that this equals safety doesn't allow you to assess this or evaluate this as the potential reason why you're not enjoying freedom.
How then are we supposed to come to a point where we push back? What happens before a pushback?
Don't lie to yourself. Oh. You need to come to your senses. You need to come to your mind. You need to come to a consciousness. And most times it's about being honest with yourself finally. And becoming the person that's willing to fight. But there's a way that you put it before that I want you to share now that we're rolling.
I think we don't value comfort enough.
Oh.
So when we hear comfort, we think comfort is laziness. We think beauty is vanity. These are, if you look into my notes, if I give you my phone and you type beauty, that sentence is actually going to come out. Because I got to a point in my life last year where I realized I had outsourced my self-care to other people. So I will stay in places that exhaust me and say to myself, I need to go to the spa.
So, understanding the relevance of comfort for yourself is the first step. Okay.
Once you get that, there is a certain level of comfort that does not make my life more complicated than it should be. Once your life is more complicated, then you start to evaluate, wait, I don't have results. And I think sometimes we want to pay attention to the results. So whether it's a career thing.
Okay, so that's the boundary, that's the boundary between when comfort is not a good thing and when comfort is a good thing, right? Which is this helpful? Because there's a comfort that's helpful, like going to the spa.
Yeah.
And there's a comfort that's not helpful, which is laziness, which isn't even comfort, if we're honest, to be honest.
So here's the issue with going to the spa. Going to the spa is not going to help you if you're in the environment that makes you need a spa every week. So you are in the environment that physically harms your body. You go to a job where you do 80-hour weeks, and then you have to return to, say, service a family that is dysfunctional. Going to the spa every week is not going to fix any of those problems. It looks like, but I have
Especially if the problems are caused by the 80-hour week. So what you need to address is that you have an 80-hour work week. And not that your body's tired, because when you get back from work, you maybe have a toddler that needs attending, who wakes up multiple times a night, or maybe you have extra work that you've taken home. So those are the things that you actually want to pay attention to, because that's why you don't have enough capacity to function in other areas. And you must be honest with yourself to say, this is hostile to the life that I want to live.
If you have 80-hour work weeks, what's the benefit of your 80-hour work week? Who makes the profit of your 80-hour work week?
I feel like this is part of why maybe some of us have these arguments, but we don't make the change. Because, for example, the benefit of an 80-hour work week can be a paycheck that affords certain things. And those things are not yet weighed maybe besides the other things that may indicate that this 80-hour work week and its seeming benefits are not worth the deficit that it's leaving behind in other areas of your life. But some people look at it and they kind of tell themselves they are okay to live with it. What are they?
Well, you know whether you're okay when you're by yourself. When you sit by yourself and what you experience is grief, not excitement, not joy. When you look at your life and you have grief consistently, grief looks like you are always not happy or something always feels missing. Whether you're making more money or you're having more relationships in your life, but there seems to be persistent grief. It's time to address what is out of place. Now, if you find what is out of place and you find gatekeepers, which was something you used at the beginning that I found interesting, because I've only seen gatekeeping professionally, where you want to enter into a particular industry and there are gatekeepers and there are all of those, but there are also gatekeepers in communities.
In families even.
So if you find that you cannot make the change you want without the authority of someone else, without someone else endorsing it, then there's an issue. The question now is, how much are you willing to conflict and push back to get the comfort you want? If it's in the office, are you willing to have a tough conversation with your boss and say, see, I know I am the staff of the month and I've been the staff of the year undefeated for the last 2 years, but I would enjoy not to be staff of the year next month. And I don't mind whatever I have to lose in the process.
So maybe let's take a few things off my plate. Maybe let's share the workload. That's so amazing. I was thinking about the fact that there needs to be a coming to awareness for yourself, because obviously you have to have had that conversation with yourself before going to meet your boss, for example. There's also the, I guess, willingness to confront the tension of, many times I put those kinds of conversations, for example, assuming that your boss might say A or B. Many people don't engage those conversations because they know that they're intelligent to know that C or D can happen. But because they can't factor in C or D, they're like, I'm not going to take this risk, because if I don't have the script for what happens next, then I don't get an outcome. So I'm just going to, leave things be. And then they're not thriving.
So the question I have for you is, if you can't take a risk on you, who should? If you think fighting for you is too much work, I don't think as your boss I should take the risk on you. If you think conflicting with me so you can get 20-hour breaks so you don't break down and end up as the next obituary flyer in town. If you think it's too much to fight with me in 30 minutes and risk us having tough conversations or tension in our conversation for 30 days versus the next 20 years of your life being in the hospital, if that 30 days is too much for you, then I don't think I should even take the risk.
Do you know what? I see something really beautiful here, which is that in all of this context, there's something fundamental. And I'm so glad. Remember I said I was going to learn something from this episode. I'm learning that it starts from seeing the beauty and the value in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the staff is having this conversation, sees themselves maybe as someone who wants to be a more present partner, a more present parent, a more present friend, a child, or, you know, they see themselves even, for example, as I know the value I bring and I'm making this negotiation because these other things are important. If it was in a family, for example, I know that I have this gift and I know that this gift can in turn be a thing of joy and comfort to us, or if we viewed it differently. The reason why I'm in conflict with these people right now, these gatekeepers, is because they have a different view than I do. And that willingness to stay in the tension of conflict for a while to ensure that, you know, you're able to bear with it until there's some kind of conversion takes knowing that you're worth that effort. You're worth the fight. But something occurs to me, which is their boundaries and their pushbacks. Where do we go from pushbacks to boundaries? Because in my mind, I think boundaries are a bit stronger than pushbacks. Pushing back sounds like gentler negotiations. Boundaries for me sound like a bit of a hard no, and where certain sacrifices or comforts, for example, are foregone for the sake of the goal. So, for example, to me, a pushback may look like, well, I've earned my leave, so we might have to make this an HR matter if you don't approve my leave. A boundary can look like, you cannot query me, or I might get a lawyer if you're denying me my bonus or my salary because I'm insisting that I need leave when I need leave and I am due the leave. So I feel like one is harder than the other, but how do you know when you need to move from pushing back? Because again, sometimes we get stuck in the limbo of pushing back and we're not seeing enough growth to be convinced that this fight is worth it.
So the boundary is, let's say the boundary is a circle, and the pushback in my mind is when someone enters into the circle, you push them back.
Oh, okay.
So I've defined my boundary.
Right.
And if someone decides that they are strong-headed, because people would always attempt to break your boundary and see if you push them back. Now, when it comes to pushback, for me, you have to be willing, like the case of going to court. The case of wanting to have the HR conversation is that you're saying, I'm willing to stand here flat-footed and defend myself.
So basically shutting down that negotiation, because we're not going to have this negotiation. This is not a negotiation. This is what it's going to be.
So there's this thing they say in business and in negotiation. You are not a great negotiator if you can't walk away.
All right, then. Preach. That has preached.
If you cannot walk away, then you won't negotiate well. So every time you come to this kind of conversations, you need to be willing to say, this is where I would fight. And if you cannot respect this is where I would walk. You have to define that and then do it.
Basically, we believe you're wise and you're worth the fight.
Exactly.
Fight for you.
See you next week.